Okay, everyone, a short video today. Luigi Mangione is headed to trial next month in the state murder case, and the judge just issued a ruling. Judge Gregory Caro says the jurors will remain anonymous in the state trial, and that's the right call. Now, it stands to reason. Why would their identities have to be exposed for potential harassment, intimidation, and improper outside influence? Now, the Mangione case is unusual in the amount of public support he has. His fans, the Mangionistas, have contributed millions to his legal defense fund. It was up to $5 million last month. And what might happen if a juror were tainted, so to speak, corrupted by a bribe or subjected to threats? The judge could declare a mistrial if the problem cannot be cured with alternate jurors, and the defendant would have to be tried again. Now, the defense this week also asked that the state trial be live streamed. The judge denied the request. It will be a public trial with media in the courtroom and in an overflow room. But the defense wanted maximum exposure and assert that the defendant's right to a public trial demands a live stream with every member of the press who wants access to be given access. So this tells us a couple of things. They have a telegenic client. Now, apparently he's comfortable in front of the camera. Now, if the defendant does have that type of magnetism, they'd want it on full display, obviously. Now, his legal defense team includes Marc Agnifilo, who represented P. Diddy, and that was a federal trial, so it wasn't broadcast. They took a very different approach with the Diddy trial, from the time of his arrest to the time of his trial for racketeering and sex trafficking. Now, he was acquitted of those serious charges, but was convicted of 2 counts of transportation across state lines for prostitution. That's the Federal Mann Act. And when he appeared at trial, the reports from the news media who attended the trial and the courtroom sketches indicated that P. Diddy had gray hair and he was wearing a sweater. Now, I don't know if that would have affected his magnetism, but apparently not, because the jury acquitted him of the more serious charges. Now, in Mangione's state trial, he will be allowed to wear a suit. Now, that's so he won't have to appear before the jury in an orange jumpsuit, which would just make him appear guilty to the jury, and it could interfere with his right to a fair trial. So he was granted the right to appear in business attire, but he only gets 1 shirt, 1 suit, 1 pair of socks, and 1 pair of shoes without laces. Now, the judge had some harsh comments for the defense team. He said their comments verged on reckless mischaracterization of the court's procedures for public trials. For example, the court did set up an overflow room for the media, and with the jurors remaining anonymous, that doesn't impact the defendant's right to a public trial. It's only for their safety and to tamp down on potential misconduct. Now, the judge was saying, in other words, to the defense attorneys, you're trying to create the public perception of an unjust process, and maybe it could inspire havoc. Theoretically, although the Mangionistas mainly have been just demonstrating with placards outside the courthouse and contributing to his legal defense fund. Now, in my view, the defense attorneys are trying to tap into that energy, though, the energy of the Mangionistas. Now, maybe they don't have a plan for how to use it, but fan support did help them with the P. Diddy trial. Now, the government in the P. Diddy case was somewhat theatrical as well. Now, the prosecution was led by the daughter of James Comey, but the prosecution in the Diddy trial was accused of overcharging the defendant, and the acquittal on the more serious charges was blamed on overcharging. Now, this Friday, Mangione is headed to a pretrial hearing in his federal trial for stalking. Rumors are flying that there could be a plea deal in the federal case. And in my view, why not? It's interstate stalking. Of course, he's going to be found guilty. No need to waste any more time on that. Currently, the death penalty is off the table in the federal trial, but potentially it could be back on the table. If they go to trial, the door could open and the death penalty might come back into play. It seems advisable to settle the federal case. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.